What's going on, everybody? Jeff C here, back with another book review. Today we are talking about, and I got a lot of laughs at work when I was reading this, how to read a book. Two authors, Mortimer, that's an awesome name, Mortimer J. Adler and Charles Van Doren. This book was originally published in 1940. It's had several revisions. I believe this edition came out in 2014. I'm going to read the middle little piece here off the back. With engaging instruction and clear detail, readers will learn different approaches to reading, from elementary reading and systematic skimming to speed reading and beyond. When and how to judge a book by its cover, perceive structure no matter the prose, read actively and critically, and extract an author's message from any text. I'll just go on record first off and foremost say I really liked this book. You can see by the amount of annotating, there was a lot of stuff in here that stuck to my heart. I don't know, man, it's kind of weird. It's not like there's stuff in here, and I have some quotes that I'm going to mention here in a little bit, but I don't know, it's like I think that most people, especially people who are like very well read, you might just take a lot of this for granted and be like, yeah, that's what you do. But I guess just for some reason having it kind of written out was really cool to me. And there's some advice in here that they apply it to reading, but I'm like, boy, you could really just apply that to everyday life, not even, beyond just reading. So I really think there's going to be something in here for anybody who takes the time to read. And speaking of time, man, this is again one of those books that I don't know, I think I had it for about a year before I finally read it. And so it's just yeah, it's really cool. I'm just going to go real quick over some of the stuff that it talks about. First thing it kind of covers, one of the first things, and I don't want to give everything away because I really think it's worth anybody's time to investigate this book. The stages of reading. According to this book, there are 4 stages of reading. The first stage is reading readiness, which is kind of what most of us do as a child. We learn the symbology, we learn our alphabet, we learn how to form words, and once you do that, then you do that as a part of reading, and then that's the first stage, reading readiness. The next stage is just reading simple materials, so of course back to children's books, chapter books, and then small things like maybe a pamphlet or something. So that's the second stage. The third stage is having a rapid progress in vocabulary. And again, in elementary school and middle school, you see a lot of kids getting assigned vocabulary words, but honestly, even books I've read recently, especially as I start to discover more classic works, I'm having to write down words and look up definitions and stuff. So I think as long as you're a constant reader, this is something that will never stop, hopefully, especially as you explore various genres and come across new vocabularies, and especially if you go internationally and through back in time. And that leads us to the fourth and final stage, which is the refinement and enhancement of any previously acquired skill. So again, reading deeper works so you can kind of get the literal picture, and perhaps if there's any form of metaphorical or allegorical happenings with the book, then being able to have an opinion on those that is your own opinion, which the more you read, the more that opinion can evolve over time. Another thing that is discussed in this work is there's levels of reading. So this is even after you've already become a reader, there's different ways that you can read. And I will say a lot of this book has to deal with more of like nonfiction works. He talks about the origin of species and stuff like that. If you go back far enough, and treaties that were written, and reading the Constitution, and then, but he does cover, more fiction and just regular symbolic literature. So the first level is elementary reading, and so that's literally going down as deep as what is this word or what does this sentence say, so yeah, just being able to read the word. The next level is what they call inspectional reading. And so I find honestly that I ended up, the whole time I was in college, I was doing a lot of this type of reading. This is like where you're just skimming for information. Maybe you're utilizing the table of contents, you're looking at the index, and maybe you're reading the first paragraph of chapters to try to, one, decide if this is a book you want to use, or if it's a book you've been assigned, you can kind of just get a overall picture of what is going to be presented by the authors. So I'll just go through really quick. They give 1 to 6 little points in regard to systematic skimming or pre-reading, if you will. 1, look at the title page, and if the book has one, at its preface. 2, study the table of contents. That's something I've never really done. I always know where the table of contents are, of course, and if you're trying to look for a specific thing, then I would go and kind of utilize the table of contents, but I never just at acquiring a book or even deciding if I'm going to buy a book, just read the entire table of contents. I also never prematurely just went and read the index. And so that's like a very good idea too. Let's say if you're buying a book on philosophy and you just go over the index and you can see that they have like maybe 30 references to Socrates, maybe 2 references to Marcus Aurelius, and 6 references to Epictetus or whatever. Then you kind of get that this is more a Socratic, heavy-leaning text. It says, if the book is a new one with the dust jacket, read the publisher's blurb. I think we all do that, I just read you a part of it. That is 4 or 5. From your general and still rather vague knowledge of the book's contents, look now at the chapters that seem to be pivotal to its argument. So, again, that's more if you're reading a nonfiction work. I mean, if you're just, reading most modern, especially like YA books and stuff, there's a lot of the chapters don't even have titles, much less descriptive titles that tell you what's contained within. Finally, it says turning the pages, dipping in here and there, reading a paragraph or 2, sometimes several pages in sequence, never more than that. So that's just inspecting a book, trying to get a general understanding of what you're, for lack of better words, getting yourself into. So that was inspectional reading. The third level of reading, according to this book, is analytical reading. And this is preeminently for the sake of understanding what the author is arguing or presenting to you. There's a very good quote in here, and I don't know what page it's on, but I remember what it said. It says, before you can say, I agree, I disagree, or I withhold judgment, you must be able to say, I understand. And that's one of those things, and there's a lot in here, this book, that yes, it applies to reading, but especially nowadays, I think it really applies to just a lot in general going on politically, socially. A lot of people agree or disagree with stuff just because the right or wrong person is trying to make the case, and they don't even know what the person's actually trying to say. So that's a really good piece of advice, I think. And the last level of reading is what's called syntopical reading. This is comparative. Maybe you're reading multiple books on one subject. I did this a lot when I was in nursing school. You could even read multiple translations of the same fictional work. I'm kind of starting my Fyodor Dostoevsky journey right now, and so I've kind of committed to reading the P&V translations just because the consensus seems to be that they are closest to the original voice, and so that's what I'm looking for. And who knows, perhaps later I'll go back and read some works that are touted as being a little more accessible, a little more easy to read. if I want to try to just fly through something or just get a different understanding. I used to recommend people do that also. I get nursing students that come in to work, and I have them for a shift, and I kind of, one of the things I suggest to them is to go to like half price books or a used bookstore and buy one or two several human anatomy and physiology books, especially if there's a concept they're not getting down, and different authors might talk about the same subject, but just one of them might voice it a way that really clicks for you. And so yeah, that is syntopical reading. Multiple books on the same subject. Obviously that would be like research as well. So there's a quote in here that I thought was really cool that I highlighted and annotated, and I even put these little, you see there's a few tabs up here. Most of my tabs are on the side, but if it's up top, it's something that I really think is worth sharing. This is on page 106. It says, most of us are addicted to non-active reading. The outstanding fault of the non-active or undemanding reader is his inattention to words and his consequent failure to come to terms with the author. I kind of jokingly in my head have been saying, like, next time I'm talking to a friend about a book, if they're like, man, I don't really remember much, I'm going to ask them, did you actually come to terms with the author, dude? So, I don't know. I have another good quote from here regarding prejudice and judgment. Again, I think this can apply to just life in general. Let's see. Since men are animals as well as rational, it is necessary to acknowledge the emotions you bring to a dispute, or those that arise in the course of it. Yeah, that's big. Otherwise, you are likely to giving vent to feelings, not stating reasons. You may even think you have reasons when all you have are strong feelings. Speaking of annotating, I wanted to show y'all, like, okay, so, I normally put the tabs kind of in correlation to wherever the thing is that I underlined, right? And I like these tabs, the ones that are kind of see-through on the side, but it's so weird. Like when I got these on Etsy, but even if you go on like Amazon or even Etsy, like I can't find these now. And like I look for annotating tabs because I'm getting low, and they're all like the solid ones that are a little harder to read through for me. And so I'm just like, well, I don't know why it took me a little while. Hey, again, back to what is that? Refinement and enhancement of the skills previously acquired, right? The other day, I just asked myself, like, I'm highlighting the thing. I don't have to put the tab where the highlight is. I can just open to the page and I'll see it. So I started just putting the tabs over here along the top because there's usually room where you're not really trying to read something. So I think I'm going to be doing this, and that way it'll just make it easier for me to acquire tabs, because I can just go on Etsy or Amazon or wherever and just buy whatever ones I like the color scheme of, and that'd be the end of it. I still, up here up top, I kind of put them things that are really, really cool. Let's see here. What is this one? Dang it, open up. Where you at? Oh, so this is like a summary of syntopical reading. They wrote some list out, which I'll let you guys check in. There was another one that was like, I like it when they go through all the rules of the different stages and all the rules, and this continues on to the next page. So this really is a strong text. I love the writing style in here by these two guys. And I think there's another book that Mortimer J. Adler wrote, something about like voicing an argument or something like that. I'll put a picture up right now of it. I forget exactly what it is, but it's intriguing. Another thing that I really thought was cool about this book is, so it has a recommended reading list, the first appendix. And so a lot of the things that you would kind of guess would be on here: Iliad, Odyssey, Sophocles, the Old Testament, the Thucydides. Wow. A history of the Peloponnesian War. It goes through, but it goes all the way up. Shakespeare, of course, Thomas Hobbes, there's James Boswell, Jane Austen, Charles Darwin, Charles Dickinson, and it goes all the way up to the last one, and these are all written in like chronological order. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, The First Circle, Cancer Ward. I'm surprised it doesn't have Gulag Archipelago on there, but hey, whichever. So anyway, that might be something worth checking out also. So yeah, How to Read a Book. It's a funny title. And yeah, like I said, at work, they know how much reading means to me, and so they thought it was kind of funny that I was reading that. So yeah, have you read this book? Do you own it? Let me know down in the comments what you think. I'd love to hear some of y'all's opinions on it. That's all I have for you. I do have a couple of other book reviews that I need to record. I have about 3 other books that I finished. And so yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.